はい、というわけで司会変わりました。ここからは私、鳩屋がお送りいたします。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。続いてのゲームは、現実の羽、プレイズ・イン・ザ・ディープ・ブルー。司会解説の方はいらっしゃいません。ちなみにマイクの方は大丈夫ですか？今更ですけど。まあ多分大丈夫ということで。ちなみに私は、現実の羽、アニメの方もミリチラです。ミリチラなのでね、ちょっと勉強しようかなと、つい30分前、ね、ラブライブのね、アニメ再放送やってたんですよ、この地域で。よーし、ちょっとこれを見てね、よしこどんなキャラなんだろうなって、ちょっと勉強しようと思って、見てたんすよ。スピンオフらしいですね。うん。いやー、出てこねえんすよ。よしこはどこ行ったと。現実の羽はラブライブのスピンオフです。アニメもしっかりやってました。まあまあまあ、出てこねえなと。ラブライブ、虹ヶ崎学園スクールアイドル同好会。3センチ長かったね。というわけで、こちらの作品、現実のヨハネ。どこ行った？なんかもともとはね、エイプリルフールの小ネタだったらしいですね。ヨハネのアニメありました。1話2話だけはね、ちらっと見たんですよ。犬が出てきたのと、ちょっと魔王がいたのとっていう、そういうのね、ざっくりとした記憶しかないんです。ほんとざっくりした記憶しかないので、もし知ってる人がいたらね、いろいろとね、コメントで、いや、むしろね、上がってきてもらえると助かります。うん、解説のね、方、募集してますので。一応この後もね、解説の方がいらっしゃらないゲーム、作品が多いので、現実のヨハネの後のハローキティのピコピコ大作戦、こちらも今、ね、解説の方を募集しております。その後、サムライチャンプルーはいらっしゃって、その次、ナルト。まあ、朝の4時ですね。この時間帯きついかなと思うんですけども、ナルトに鉄腕アトム、少年ジャンプ、ワンピース。いろいろとあるのでね、私解説できますよとかでいたら、ね、どんどんどんどん積極的にね、応募していただけると、私のような人間が助かります。ほんとね、いるだけで助かるんです。何も知らないとね、ほんとに無理しらで、あれこれ喋んなきゃいけないんです。無理やりね、喋る必要ないんです。よいしょっと。で、まだ時間がありそうなので、こちらのね、今回のイベントの概要についてご案内させていただきます。 現在ジャパニーズリストリームではアニメスピードランフェスティバル2024を公認日本語で配信しています。このイベントはスピードゲーミングのチャンネルで行われているチャリティー RTA イベントです。今回集まった寄付金の一部は運営の DEEPBLUE さんたちが日本のうち数カ所で直接慈善活動を行います。重篤な病気や末期の病気で入院している子どもたちにボードゲームなどの新しいおもちゃを購入する予定です。イベントは5月3日午後9時頃から開始し、6日午前8時頃まで昼夜問わず行われます。スケジュールをご確認の上、ぜひ最後までお楽しみください。直接です、今回は。直接、ね、慈善活動ということで。
One, go.
お急に始まった
Howdy everyone, I'm Retroflex, and today I'm going to be running Yohane Blaze in the Deep Blue. I am joined by some commentators.
急に始まったわけじゃないですね。まだ始まってないですね。大丈夫ですね。
Hi, I'm Leah Kazuno.
Hi, I am Joey or Freefall.
Hi, I'm Benja.
Yep.
Or Benja. What you call it?
Creates.
Alright, so yeah, let's get this run started then. Time starts on file select, which will be in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start timer.
お、グッドラックです。
If we could quickly go over basic movement tech, I'll let you take it away.
始まりまして、インティクリエイツで現実にはね、元の作品がね、アイドルってことなんだけど、完全にもう、ロックマン。あれ、ロックマンとか、あれの作品でみたいな動きを早速してる。非常に見慣れた光景なので、もう頑張ると。
Yep, and right now what Retro is doing is getting some materials, because right away what we want to do is cast a Qatar, which he just did there. This is the weapon that you're going to see right there. We have a sub-weapon in this game that is going to change a couple times throughout the course of the run.
元の作品を知らなくてもいい気がしてる、
これ。Make sure he grabbed those chests there to have the materials to cast that and then equip it.
そうですね。
This room can
And
be
right
元はアイドルであるという。
so I'm taking it safe.
Yeah.
So I don't
You
die
see-
and lose a minute.
You see Retro is taking intentional damage there, and then that's because he knows that the save point is coming up. The save points will heal you back to full health.
一応自分はこれはね、
When it comes to
キラリレボリューションからここまでアイドル枠だと思って
intentionally taking
視界入っ
damage
たん
on
ですけどね。
enemies just to not slow yourself down, killing them, because you know you
さ
kind of
っ
rat
きまで
out
アイドル
what
枠
you're supposed
だ
to
と思って入ってたんですけど、どうやらアクション枠に切り替わったのかな。
Random rooms.
Oh, this is the nightmare of the game.
多分
First of all, the game has a lot of
気づかないうちにアクション枠に切り替わってたみたいですね。
randomized paths to complete a dungeon. This is the first one. You know the enter, but you don't know the exit and how many steps you need to do to finish that dungeon. So this is the nightmare of the game, because you can obtain a really good run, really good drops, but really bad spots to finish those dungeons, and you're gonna lose in time.
Yeah. And the one I got.
If I remember, the minimum are 2 or 3.
2. The one I got for the first one I got was like the worst one for this or one of the worst ones.
3だもんね、アクションが。
Part of the game.
Yep, so these warp rooms, there's like a pool of rooms that the game can choose from.
Not all of them are made equal.
Right, some are slow, some are fast.
Yeah.
But the main issue with them is that you can get anywhere from 2 rooms to 5 rooms. So ideally we want to play only 2 warp rooms for each segment, but it's going to vary from 2 to 5 on each of them.
素材集めて装備を作る。けど特にそういうところもなく。
Going into
So-
the first boss, we're going to be seeing the fastest way we have to attack at the moment, which is to continuously alternate between our partner Lilacs and our weapon. This is because each of those attacks has a cooldown, but alternating between them avoids the
犬
cooldown.
のライラプスを召喚してもうひたすら攻撃。
Every single time we boss or an enemy, we're gonna have a number, and depending on which color we have, we're gonna know if we do a crit or not. And the first hit was a crit, and that's a really good one to skip the second part of the boss.
Yeah.
That was a very nice fight by Retro. So that was the first area of the game. Obviously, that was very short. The rest of them are quite a bit longer. But essentially, the way the game works is we have 8
ちなみに
main
現実のヨハネは
areas
も
that we have
と
to
もと
complete, and after each one, we're going to unlock another member.
現実の沼津州と酷似した架空の異世界沼津を舞台にした魔法と科学技術が同時に存在するスチームパンクファンタジー作品だそうです。
Retro move. She also, her cannon can stun enemies, which we'll see in a little bit.
スチームパンク。
Yes, this is Grotto. It's a pretty relaxed part of the run.
魔法の講師は驚かれはするが受け入れられる。
Challenging here.
さまざまな種族が生活し、巨大な動物に魔物、ロボットを家族にするもの。反面インフラやテクノロジーは割と現実寄りで、スマホ、電車が普及している。マジかよ。
What we're doing right now, we're making our way to ruins, which is going to be the next area we complete.
And this is the most important area of the game, since we have a different categories. Right now, Retro is playing 60 FPS. The game can be running on 60 or 120 FPS, and depending of how much FPS you're using, your
ちなみに
slides are going to be faster. So
このダンジョンは沼津
there's one room with a big
沼津の
scene.
近海に突如浮上した海底ダンジョンだそうですよ。
Yeah.
沼津、つまり沼津です。
Ben just said the 60 FPS version, we can't slide quite as fast, so getting under this enemy right here is actually impossible due to that. So Retro did a really good job. He didn't miss any slide chains, but he couldn't make it under that enemy just solely because he's playing on 60 FPS.
Only for the FPS.
Yeah,
ここは
and
沼
it's
津の
very
近海
funny
のダンジョ
because
ンなんです
that
ね。
enemy can potentially do a lot of damage to you.
Yeah.
That's one thing we haven't mentioned
そっ
actually.
か、
So
静岡ってそういうもんか。
you have a random amount of damage you can do on your attacks, but at the same time, the amount of damage that you take from enemies is also random. They can crit you as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of scary moments.
I think I've
ルルイ
taken
が浮上してもね、そんなね、
that guy before.
クトゥルー的な存在がいそうになさそうなので、
This is the first.
多分大丈夫じゃないですかね。
Yeah, this is a game break sequence. That's not different, of course, and that was discovered by a Chinese, not runner. Yeah, he's just using a turbo and discovered that thing. And this is very important because right now we're obtaining a sub item on a bubble. You can now
今の動きはすごく
under the water.
見慣れた光景だな。
Sometimes just obtaining
給水ポイント。
item before the recommended part of the game, because we are not gonna need to revisit this stage anymore.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
about
there are no
14.
save points.
Yeah.
There are like no save points that are close to that area, so the quickest backtrack to it is like a minute, and we just don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
いや
the Chica's attack is very useful.
海底ダンジョンでさえいるんですね、こういうの。
Shield up, and to get extra attacking opportunities, you can also use Lilaps while the boss is doing its spinning attack, because Lilaps has got quite a large hitbox.
That was very nicely done there. So Ruins is unique in that it has actually 3 different boss fights. So instead of one boss at the end, like in Sunken Temple, we actually fight the same boss in 3 different rooms as we kind of progress through. So
カ
that
ブ
was
ト
the
ガニといえ
first
ばね、さっ
fight
きも
there.
キラリンレボリューション投げられてた気がしましたけど、
2 more times. This
今回は出ますね、カブトガニ。
in terms of your health route.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Yeah.
水星生物学かな、本
these
当に。
rolling rock
This
rooms.
is the first run killer part of the run.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, didn't
But-
manage to outrun them this time. But if you're
Yeah,
moving
Retro
up, you can outrun
He's
this
doing
one.
really
Seriously, point.
good on health and has a save point there, so we're chilling right now. And we're going to fight the second beetle. This one's very
完全に悪魔女だ
similar.
よ
You can
な。
see the layout of the room is just a tiny bit different, but it doesn't change the fight too much. We're gonna lure him to the side. Whenever he uses the shield, we're gonna shoot it with Chica to stun him, and then keep doing the attack swapping that Leah was talking about.
あと何回カブトガニやってる
Yeah, you actually want to make sure that he, well, in this case, you want to make sure he tries to stay to the right of the arena as much as possible, because this can manipulate his attack pattern a little bit, so he's more likely to stay in place. He didn't quite stay in place this time, but it can just stay in place and not charge across the arena again, giving you much more opportunities to attack him quickly.
Yeah. The ideal pattern there is he just keeps staying in place and putting his shield up so you can stun him again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much as long as he doesn't go into second phase, really.
Yep, so
I
this
had a
is
run-
one room.
Yeah, this is
Where
the
you-
final boss of Demo Descent.
That's true, actually. Yeah, so you can see how low Retro got on health there. Luckily, didn't get crit at all in that room. If he did, his health would have been very scary, but made it through with no problems. That's very good.
Yeah.
And we're coming up on another warp room segment here.
The Ruben's warp rooms are actually quite short, so it isn't too bad to get a lot of warp rooms here compared to the other segments.
In
I'm
fact,
waiting
this
here
is probably, yeah, the worst one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the worst.
You can get poisoned easily in this room, and getting poisoned at this point in the run is really bad.
You mostly want just one room, the charter one, and not because it's the charter, it's because the enemy there is actually very important.
Yeah.
When it's on drop to obtain one weapon later, and that enemy drops that weapon.
Yeah.
Oh, true, yeah. The Great X fragment. Okay, that was pretty good. I think that was only 3 rooms there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to be finishing up ruins with one more beetle fight here.
これで3
Something
度
we've
目
actually been doing this whole time is that we're making sure to only attack while we're in the air. This is because we can attack a little faster when we're in the air, so we're always jumping before we start bringing out our weapons.
So one attack that he can do, especially in this third phase here, is he doesn't attack where he
ラ
jumps
ス
to
ボ
the
スがそん
middle
な
of
ク
the
トゥ
room.
ルーとかね、
It's
クトゥルフ
scary.
とかはないとは
You can't
思いたい
jump
けれど
before
ど
he
う
does
なんで
that,
しょうね。
We're gonna see it
深
here.
海が
He's very low on health.
舞台がね
There it
深
is.
海ダンジョンなので
Yeah, I triggered that in the first fight against him a couple days ago because I ended up dealing too much damage.
Yeah, so that would be the end of demo percent there,
Yes.
but we're gonna
Yeah.
keep going on.
Yes. This is
We just,
Canon, who we just saved. I'm not going to be using too much of Canon.
Yeah, she's best as it helps us break these stone floors, and she's also a very niche attacking option. We're actually going to get to use her right here to get rid of these enemies. Aside from that, she's not super
友達が
useful.
強い
It really depends on what rooms we get later.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are a couple niche spots where Kanan's useful, but not too many. Okay, now we're coming up on what, in my opinion, what is the
カナンちゃん
scariest,
内浦地区にある工房を営むメカニック少女
Yeah.
相棒のロボット殿様と共に急降下プレス攻撃を行いひび割れた足場を破壊できる
Technically, we're being here like this. Imagine this is on stage level 20 and we're level 5.
Yeah.
召喚されるたんびに
Everything
Yeah.
gonna break
プレス
up.
攻撃
Immediately, we're gonna lose around 1/4 part of our health.
Yep. So right now, this is
Immediately,
like,
and you could burn here a lot of things.
yeah, very easy to lose a lot of health in this area. The
Ah,
reason
急に
we're
メトロ
here,
イド
we're not here
っぽ
to
く
complete Sunken Volcano just yet, but it does contain a very
僕というかもう
valuable
メトロイドの
item.
敵だメトロイドそのものだ
So we're making our way to a treasure chest
時が
in this area so that we can get that, and then
動きとデザインがメトロイドそのも
come
のという
back
か
to it later.
Yes. We're also on the lookout for any rubies or golds, and gonna hope these guys drop the
Yeah.
aiming lenses
ですが
used to craft,
ご覧の作品は現実のヨハネラブライブです
which will make surviving this much easier.
もともとラブライブです
Yeah,
Also,
that's-
the run is more consistent doing this stage before the other one. Just because you need the other drops to the next weapon, and also you can achieve the double jump, so the next stage are gonna be faster.
Yeah. Yeah, the double jump is a very useful item to have. There's one aiming lens.
You can walk on top of those enemies. It's very niche
そん
thing.
な
but
ローグライクみたいな。
it's kind of silly.
And there's a ruby, which we need 3 of those to craft the ruby ring, which is a good defensive item.
Yep, so like we did at the very start of the run, we crafted that weapon that
ああ、そんな、こんなアニメじゃなかったと思いますよ、自分。ちょっとチラッとだけ見ましたけど。
or give us some sort of offense
ぼのぼのとした作品だったと思いますけど。
so
俺が
actually
見た
that's going
限
to
りでは。
be very relevant here. So these enemies here are very
そんな
special.
バカ
They
な。
drop what's called a great X fragment, or at least have a
俺は
chance
知らない作
to.
品を見てたのか。
We're going to need 3 of those
This is
in a
fine.
little bit. Unfortunately, didn't get any there, but
But I'm able to craft
we need
the
great
ruby
X
ring now.
fragments. Nice, we got ruby rings, so our defense is a little bit better.
Yes.
But yeah, great X fragments are necessary for crafting a better sub weapon. So we don't want to be using the Qatar the whole run. We actually are very interested in crafting a Buster Sword, which is the best sub weapon in the game. And we can, if we play our cards right, we can get it fairly early on, and it's going to save us a lot of time.
Yes.
This enemy does massive damage.
私はこの作品を最後に見てないのでわからないですけど、きっと、ね、
Set up to avoid them though. If you do
ないんじゃないかな。
just jump, you'll avoid them every time.
Yeah. Can't be missing the slide chains though, because
Yeah.
when you miss a slide chain, you usually jump into
Nice.
the air
Oh,
and
my
he's
God.
right above you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
There's our
consequences
double
of
jump.
missing slide chains can be more severe than just going a bit slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically everything's taking a risk in this game. But right here we're gonna
Yeah, for sure.
right here we're gonna do a quick shopping session. We're gonna buy a couple health potions.
一応スピンオフ作品、現実のヨハネでは、
And then we're gonna
学
return to
校
Grotto.
要素は出てないような気がしたと思います。
Yep. So now it's time to finish up.
詳しくはわからない。
So you remember in Ruins we did that sequence break to get the sea deity's charm, and that's going to come into play here. So instead of floating on the surface of the water, now we're allowed to traverse underneath it and get to this area. So normally you would actually need to get the double jump first, then go to Ruins and get the sea deity's charm. But
ますますロックマン
break, we can just get it along the way,
っぽい
which is
感じ
really
だね。
nice.
Yeah.
And we have another chance for a great X fragment
こんな
here.
バトルシーン見てみたいな、俺も。
There's one.
Yeah.
Nice.
見てみようかな、改めて。
So if we get
At
lucky
least
later on,
one.
we might not have to farm later on if we get lucky.
Then there's the analytic spectacles.
Oh,
That's a very valuable item that Retro just got there. That increases your crit rate. So we're going to probably be keeping that on for the whole rest of the run.
Yeah.
I believe it also buffs your defense too. I can't remember.
I think a bit, but not as much as some other items.
Yeah. And that was a good warp section there. I believe that was only 2 rooms. That one was really fast.
Yeah, and we got a great axe fragment out of it, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
ライラプスがね、
So
喋
here
って
is
るな、
just
見た
a
ね。
straight sprint to the end of this area. It's pretty free.
Yeah.
Thankfully that guy didn't do too much damage.
このゲームとアニメ
Bit
で、
worried there,
この
but
うちの姿で特にない。
and I'm actually going to swap out my
Aw.
ruby ring for the analytic spectacles to get back
Alright.
those crits in for this boss.
ないそうです。
And this is going to be the first time we use our offense talisman, which is
これはクリオネかな、元ネタは。
or item that we can use from the pause menu that's going to give us a temporary offense buff. These are really good for certain boss
really
fights.
good threat.
This is definitely my personal favorite boss of the run.
This one's really cool, yeah.
Oh, that's a lot of crits.
でも動きが頑張ると。
Five crits
Yeah.
already, that's a lot.
One tricky part about fighting this boss is that you want to be right in front of its face when you attack it, but at the same time it's swaying back and forth very slowly, and it actually affects where you need to be in the air. because sometimes he can go backwards and then you won't hit him anymore, or sometimes he'll drift into you and do damage.
Yeah.
That was really nice though.
It's scary at the ending there, we almost lost all our health, but thankfully he killed the boss before it could do any more attacks.
Yeah. If we do lose all our health, it's not like an instant game over because we have a musical score. And musical scores basically act like fairies in The Legend of Zelda.
助けたのはダイヤ。
If you lose all your health, they'll revive you, and they'll give you a couple of perks as well. Like they'll
その歌でいうところのお姉ちゃんですね、確
do
か。
always critical damage to enemies, and
なんかお姉ちゃんちゃうわ。
also makes it so your darkness doesn't drain.
やべえ、も
Have we explained darkness yet?
う。ルビーとダイヤだ、そっちは。
I don't think so, no. So that's the green bar underneath the HP bar. Basically works like
Yeah,
mana, and it
Mirishira
allows
だとね、
us to
ど
use
うして
certain
もね、
abilities,
こういう
and certain
コン
ones
ポストがで
cost
きちゃう。
more than others. And when it runs out, then when you start using abilities, it will drain from your HP
Yeah.
instead, which is obviously very scary. So management of that meter is going to be really important later.
This is the first game break mechanic. Kinda break mechanic with the double jump. You're skipping a lot of the stage right now.
お姉ちゃん、正面係。
And also you're playing on a new slot, yeah, new slot
for my
for
items, yeah.
For an accessory, so the game rewards you a lot.
Ooh,
One more for the
nice
match.
check. One more for fans. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Retro got really lucky there. We have our 3 Great X fragments just like that. That was
Yeah.
kind of our last chance to get them without farming in some capacity, so that was really good.
Yes.
As you can see, we're using Dia a lot. She's actually one of the better Aqua's abilities.
Yeah, Die is basically Lilaps but better.
Yep, you can do a 3-hit combo with her, and later on we're going to upgrade her as well, and her upgraded ability is very powerful against bosses as well.
Yeah. Oops. It's not
Oh.
good.
そんなお姉ちゃんですら捕まってしまったのか。
I
こん
remember
な
you had some
very
still items, so
Yeah.
こんなダイヤが捕まって、ようヨハネ頑張れるね。そう考えると。
Most of these
You saw Retro bought some potions earlier on. Those are... Ideally, we don't want to use them and save them for later if we can, but they're nice to have because you just never know with crits and stuff.
yeah. The random rooms in this section are quite slow generally.
This is not a fun random room.
This one
okay, we
sucks.
picked lucky, but there's no way to tell which sides of the room the portal will be on.
Yeah.
I love this room though. It's so short.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the 3 great axes, but what we don't have is the tide lights. This is farming in this game. You take checkpoints, which respawns all enemies and bots and stuff. And yeah,
アイテム
Yes,
収集かな。
you're heading now.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many tide lights you actually have. You do need 5 for Buster Sword, so like I said, we have the Great X fragments we need, but we still need some tide lights from these pots. This is one of the better spots to farm from, just because the
Yeah.
save point is so close by.
But even
So we're gonna
still,
hope we see them.
yeah, they can be quite elusive.
Oh yeah.
This is the fun part of the game.
Yes. I once lost
Yeah, I
like
would say
5
shipwreck
minutes.
is like the hardest part of the run, personally.
Yeah, I tend to not get excited about a run until I know I have my tide lights.
Yes.
When sometimes you get them before this point even. Like
Yeah.
you just show up to the save point with 5 tide lights, and those are special runs. You don't want to let go of those.
Nah, yeah.
But we should be getting enough soon here.
装備強化
But
はあ
yeah,
って
so,
もそうか。
there's
レベルアップはないんだもん
entertaining
な、このゲーム。
gameplay right here. This
レベ
is,
ルアップは
Yohane gameplay.
悪魔城か。うん。
Yeah, one thing you can opt to do is get the save point and just keep moving on. And then there's actually a spot right outside the boss room where you can break 6 boxes. It's a little further from the save point than this is, but you do get 6 different opportunities for tie lights instead of just 3.
何のね、素材が必要かは私はさっぱりわからないので、とりあえず見てます。
Just marathon look.
Do you know how many you're at right now?
No, I do not know by heart.
Yeah. We don't really need to keep track because once we have enough, Buster Sword will just show up in the cast menu for us.
Yes. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Usually it's not that rough, but average marathon luck, you know how it is.
Yeah.
お、
So this
集まったかな
revolutionizes the rest of the run pretty much. Our guitar was very limiting. It's not a very good attack. Only attacks right in front of us. Hasn't got much power. The Buster Sword, massive overhead sword. It does a lot of damage. It can one-shot most enemies. It's just such a great upgrade, and we're going to be using it for the rest of the run.
Yeah.
Yep. Better in pretty much every way. The only thing that it's not great for, we can't really do the attack chaining that we were doing against like the beetle, for instance, just because it's a tiny bit slower than before.
Yeah.
But
we have
it does still...
we have an alternative attack later that mostly fixes that. This is in the way. Oh damn it! That's a lot of.
斧というか体験というか。
a lot,
No,
yeah.
but I guess you're fine.
Yeah, I have the potions which I'll have. To
Yeah,
use.
yeah, you need to use the healing.
So this section right here, normally we're supposed to have Ruby already. She makes a shield against these guys. That's like the only way to get by them without getting hit here.
Yeah.
But because we're doing this early and we don't have Ruby, the only option we have is to just tank all of that damage from those gold cannons.
Yeah.
And if they like crit you, it does like so much damage. Like you need to heal 1, maybe even 2 times. This is a pretty difficult boss fight. So the way this one works, it has 2 different like phases. It's in like its Grim Reaper's phase at first, and then it switches to this phase. You can only progress the fight when it's in that core phase. So we want to make sure that we're doing the Reaper phases really fast so that we can
トゲ
actually
トゲ
progress.
しいので、ウニまさか。
Optimally, we want to get a 2 cycle, so only activate 2 core phases. We didn't
Unfortunately-
quite get it here, but it should die in 1 or 2 hits now.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That was nice. And yeah, you can see that we're not using Lilaps anymore in combination with the Qatar. Now we switch to Daya in combination with the Buster Sword. And
Yes.
much, much better for bosses with a lot of health like that.
And this is Hanamaru. Yeah, she's gonna be our secret weapon.
Maybe not so much now, but in a little bit.
Yes, very shortly. But right now we're
We
returning
have
to
to
ruins.
return to the parlor, because every time you rescue a character, you unlock a quest for them, so we have to quickly do that so we can quickly complete Hanamaru's quest, in which we go to this secluded room in the ruins and pick up a
トゲを破壊した。
suspicious laptop.
Yes, not suspicious at all.
Totally innocent.
Yes.
She can do no wrong.
Yes. Right now we're gonna give that to Hanamaru. We're gonna go do a quick round of shopping.
トゲ、
We're
ト
gonna
ゲ
buy
って
some
あんな破
artifacts
壊できるもんなんですね。こんな。
just to make it easier. And we're back in to finish Volcano now.
Yep, so I mentioned briefly earlier that each of the 8 Aquars members that you unlock can be upgraded by completing some sort of side quest. We very quickly just did Hanamaru's there by finding her laptop, so now she has the upgraded ability to use that laptop, which we're going to see against this boss fight coming up here in Sunken Volcano.
And
We just have to make our way to the boss room.
yeah, there I picked up a miniature train. This is for a potential item later on.
スクールアイドルの概念わからなかったよ
Might
俺。
not get to see it, but if we do that, it would be really nice. It's like one of the
これは
best,
スクールアイドルの
gives us
ラブライブのスピンオフだっていうのもわかるんだけど、だんだんも
HP
う、スピンオフなんだか何なんだか。
Very quick trek to the end of the volcano. We did the majority of it earlier on.
So this fight has the potential to be very, very fast,
Yeah,
but
there's a
we'll
quick
see.
goal here.
ところがさっきのカードキャプターちょっと引っ張ってるもんで、
Yeah, you know, with Hanamaru, she's
まだまだね
she's very good.
感じるとこができないんですよ。
Very, very good. An absolute tech whiz. And yeah, we're going to use that to our advantage right here.
これは
What
も
we're
う
trying to do is
深海生物関係ない。
spits out a lot of fireballs
でも魚っぽい。
because if it does this, every fireball that the explosion hitbox touches will reactivate the attack. So you can potentially get this boss down to its last phase really quickly.
So right now we're out of darkness, which means that every time we use the laptop, it's going to hurt us, which is very scary. You can see
こういう
we
ふうに攻
ended
撃
that
でき
fight
てま
with
すね。この
exactly
人
one
大丈夫あれ
HP,
召喚されてるけど。
but Retro clutching it out, that was very nice.
Yes, thankfully this with this strategy you don't have to worry too much about it. I have a very particular way of doing that boss. But here we have Rico. Again, not a character we're going to be using very much.
Yeah, Rico not the most useful, unfortunately. A couple times we'll use her.
Yeah.
But yeah, you saw basically the way the laptop works. You want to spawn it, and then it will appear above Hanamaru, and then if you can, you use the Buster Sword to hit it, and it'll explode in the air. So at first it's a little tricky to do, but getting it down is really helpful, especially for that boss because he's in the air as well. So we want to make sure that we detonate it in the air.
Yeah.
歌うのであれば
You can
アイ
also
ドルでいいん
get
じゃない
a,
かなもう。
second slush with your own weapon on the bosses as well with the laptop attack.
So here we have Sea of Trees. This is one that we're just going to do one clean run through. We're not going to revisit this one at all. Along the way as well, we're going to
そ
find
こは
Gaya's
破壊
upgrade,
しないで行くんだ。
and that is also another one that is very useful for boss fights.
Yeah.
でも回復した。
We are keeping our eyes out for some platinum right now to craft a platinum ring, which is better than the ruby ring.
Yeah, basically at this point, any upgrade, any like accessory upgrades you can find are pretty much just extra credit.
Yeah.
There's nothing we need anymore necessarily at this point, at least not for a very long time, but you always take defense buffs when you can.
Yeah.
So there's the Scarlet Delta suit. That's Daya's item that we need to return to her at some point. So we're going to do that at the next save point.
This is a nice little skip. You're meant to go up and around, but we can just use do this to make it very quick.
Yeah, I love that skip. The reason that works is you spawn Kanan's
エビに足が、
frog in
いや、エビに足はあるか。
above you, so he's not allowed
変
to
なこと言い
land
まし
on
た。
the
エビに
floor.
足はある。うん。
That's like immediately beneath him. He has to fall through the door and then onto the switch.
The game mechanic works as if Tanketsu, the frog, is still have a recollection with a wall. That part, the frog can land on the floor, so he's just gonna fall to the ground and discover the other path instead.
Yeah.
So these random rooms, they can be either very quick,
毒を振りに行く役物
very long.
At this point, it's kinda scary. Sometimes the randomizer dungeons are gonna be really tricky ones, or
Yeah.
you're gonna lose a lot of time.
Yeah. I don't
At
know
this
what it
point,
is about
you
this.
don't want the poison. You really don't want the poison.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know what it is about warp rooms in this game
こうなると
poisoning
だい
you,
ぶ時間ロス。
but it's very dangerous because obviously you don't want to get poisoned when you don't know how many rooms you have left to actually do.
Yeah. So right here we're gonna do another shopping trip along with returning Dia's item. So we're gonna buy some normie perfume, which we'll use a fair amount later in the run. Towards the
アイテム
end.
を生成して、生成買ったの
So yeah, that's the only small detour we make in Sea of Trees. We're right back to it. And there's Dia's upgraded ability. It's very, very powerful, and it clears like basically the entire screen. It's so useful.
Yeah.
These crates all have a high chance of containing platinum idols, so we want to be breaking a lot.
真横に飛ぶのはあれバイク
This is technically an optimal. This is actually an optional
Bike.
Optional save point. But for marathon safety, we're gonna get it.
Yeah, this boss coming up can be really annoying. If you go off script,
もの
you
す
can
ごい
just
なんか
end it here, it can...
真横に飛んでるのはバイクでいいんですねあれは
For sure. So I actually like this fight a lot. He does the same order of attacks every single time, and you know what it's going to be based on the color of his visor. So he kind of like, yeah, prepares you for whatever's coming next.
Your crits all the time having a chance to deal with your partner or your weapon, and at this point for Hanamaru, you really want the Hanamaru crits, not your weapon.
Yeah.
自爆強くない
And again, that was really good. You can see Retro at 1 HP again. So the boss fights get very scary, obviously, because we want to use a lot of abilities
Yeah,
to do damage.
あの自爆で何
But
発
that drains a lot of darkness, which then in turn drains a lot
自
of
爆しても生きてる方も生きてる方だね
incentivized to be very risky about these fights.
Yeah. And this is Yo. Yo is going to be more or less our main mode of transportation now.
飛んでる
Yeah, she makes
Very
long
similar.
rooms much faster and also a lot easier in some cases.
Yeah.
Yep.
なんと
There are gonna be
人間
spots
砲弾
where
です
we're gonna use very well placed cannon shots with Yo that just send us over like everything. Super nice.
And I'm just gonna... Did I not... Wait, did I not get a platinum ring? Oh, I guess
Oh,
not.
it's there.
Is it?
Yeah, you have a platinum ring. Yeah, it's in the. Well, you have to cast it, but it's there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that.
ようそろで済むのかな
So we're heading back to
This is
Grotto here.
This is the last time. Finally.
Yeah, last time we'll see Grotto.
Yes.
We're doing this because the game kind of branches off here. We can
上
actually
に当たるま
go
で
to
飛ぶっ
the
てすごく
second
ない
room segment, and that's going to lead us to Coral Hill, which is the next area.
Yeah, this Grotto is the only place with like 2 random rooms in the game for some reason.
So
And
these
Funny enough.
rooms actually aren't too difficult because you're not supposed to be here this late in the game.
yeah, there's definitely a noticeable
Yeah.
drop in the game's difficulty
Oh.
at this point.
大砲なのに上には
Well, it's
押
like
さないですね
Benja, how Ben just said, Sunken Volcano is like a level 20 area that we go to at level 5.
Yeah.
Well, this is like a level 5 area that we go to at level 20.
Yes.
So we have Dia now. She can activate these lifts for us.
Also,
With double
あの
jump,
バイクに乗せてもらうのは足なのかな寿司だ
I see she's a ren enemy in this game, but I mean, why not?
So I think Coral Hill's probably my favorite area in this speedrun. It's really fun.
Yeah.
And this actually, Coral Hill has a warp segment in it, but
こ
we
の世
actually
界の
don't
寿
need
司は食べられるの逆に
so there's no RNG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the shortest segment in the run and possibly one of the easiest ones as well.
Yeah.
Also, we're clearly not supposed to have Yo here because we're gonna have another little skip.
移動が強い
This is quite a difficult cannon shot. It's probably frame perfect.
That's
And we got
right.
first try.
Ooh, let's
really
go. That's very precise.
チンガーナゴ邪魔された
and we didn't even mention the wall climbing ability that we got at Shipwreck a while back.
Oh,
but
yeah, that's just
that
kind of
becomes
on
very
the way.
useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good movement so far. Ooh, I like using Yo there. I never thought of that.
It's the number one rule of this game. Every other run you find at least one new place to use Yo.
Yeah, we don't use her enough.
We don't.
Yeah, one limitation with Yo is that you are committed to going forward until you hit a wall or something. So, say if there's a room where you want to like stop in the middle, it's not very useful for rooms like that because you're gonna go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
精密さすげえ
There
よ
was quite a tight cannon shot in that room just then.
Yeah.
If Retroflex had gone any lower, he would have hit the wall at the end, which would have unavoidably gotten him hit by an enemy. Or if he'd been too high, he would have just hit the enemy.
いよいよガンボルトに出てくるボスでいいんじゃないかなこの
But it's still a really good crit.
Yeah, that was a ton of damage. If you crit with Hanamara, it just does
も
so
う本
much.
家に出てもなんの
1300 in that.
違和感もないキャラクター
Not exactly
That's
the
got
most
design.
cooperative fight I've had, but I mean, yeah. This boss is like very easy, even casually. I didn't have much trouble with them. But here we saved Ruby, who we are not going to see in.
誰を助けたのか見えなかった
Yeah. So it's funny. The only really useful part we could have Ruby for was
Night
earlier,
Looking.
before we even had her.
あんもないと
But now we don't really have
完璧やったか
much use for her. And that was another really precise cannon shot. Well done. Go right over the caterpillars, but low enough to go through the door.
So here in Crystalline Grotto, we're going to rescue our partner, and then we'll head off after that to a place unknown.
So, one thing that I like about this area, so this game was made by Inti Creates, which is responsible for a lot of like, at least that team is responsible for making a lot of the Mega Man
す
games.
げえな
And you can maybe see the influence here if you've played a certain one.
So we're picking up this
すごいしか言ってないや
item we're going to craft towards the end of the run, which is not too far away now.
Yep, so this is the last main area of the game.
Yeah.
We're wrapping up here.
And these blocks do a lot of damage if you get crushed by them. But thankfully they're pretty easy to avoid.
Pretty easy to avoid these. There are more sliding blocks later in the next area that are a lot easier to get crushed by.
Yeah. But if you know what you're doing, and that, yeah, it's not likely you'll ever get crushed by them.
So, another warp room segment. This one has a couple of rooms where you can do some cool cannon strats with Yo. We'll see if we get any of those.
Yeah.
シューティングゲーム出てきそうなカニが
Yeah, that
Get
is
hit by
annoying.
it gives you an offense debuff, which is annoying.
There is one room that we do not want to see here. Like, there's this one room that's really slow.
Oh yeah. I know which one you're talking
つ
about.
まみ要素がだんだん増えてきたな
We'll do it.
We have an attack debuff right now, so it's harder to kill enemies.
Yeah. Alright, so
here we go.
this room could be annoying, but yeah.
Yeah, I love
With Yo,
that.
it's pretty free. We've been having really bad luck with these random rooms.
Yeah. rare Kanon sighting.
Thankfully, that's it though.
Alright, yep, we're out of the warp rooms. And safety save, good idea.
Yeah. You take a lot of damage there.
Yeah.
早い。
This is an interesting route. Yeah, take this one and then you end up on the upper path here.
Yeah, a lot of players do it so that they take the lower path in that room that we're just in. I'm not actually sure which route is faster, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They're probably pretty equal.
It's not just in this game, not just routing choices, but there are a lot of things
怖
that
っ
you
こ
can do that there are a lot of choices you can make in this run
Yeah,
to
you-
really like stand out.
You can really-
pick safe routes or not go for them. You can do like 100 different potion routes or go for different accessories to everyone else.
Yeah,
There's a lot
yeah.
of variety.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can basically fine tune it to whatever you're comfortable doing.
Yeah. This game is very much, it rewards being risky.
フラッシ
So many of these save points can be skipped if you really want to.
Yeah.
This is Fortune Teller, which is made pretty easy by Hanamaru. She kind of telegraphs where she's going to spawn with the bubbles, and then yeah, we just put the laptop there and
Yeah.
deal with her. So we're going to unlock our last.
ュ自爆せんでいいから爆弾だけをね召喚してもらったらええんじゃないかな本当に。
They're not going to be using.
ほん花丸ちゃんかわいそうやよ。
Yeah, we might not even see her at all.
Mari's
that being
upgrade
said-
is, like, Mari does eventually get the ability to freeze time, which could be useful if it weren't for the fact that we have to do like a 5-minute detour to get to it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. It's also worth noting that you can't upgrade or you
端的
can't
に
even
良
like
いクライ
the
マッ
item
クス。
to upgrade a member until you've unlocked
Uh-huh.
them and talked to them in the parlor. So it just
Yeah.
creates kind of a routing
あれノート PC だ。
situation that doesn't work.
And
yeah,
this is
so we-
where the game starts to pick up in difficulty again.
ノ
Yeah,
ート
yeah,
PC
so
ってのは
basically
RTA
we
中
went
に
back
電
to
源が落ち
second
ると
temple.
かそういうもんだとい
We
う
entered
イ
a
メージしかしないん
mysterious
ですけど。
room that we had access to before, but now is it serves as the door to the final area, Infernal Altar. Now that we've unlocked
コンセン
everybody.
ト抜いとくとね
And
we've
RTA
considerably breaking, a
駅ま
lot
で
of
そういうやつじゃないんだ。
yes,
There's one key item
ノ
that
ート
we need.
PC が爆発するちょっとわかんないですね。
To
Yeah.
facilitate farming later if we need to.
今の高さ抜けたマジで。
Orichalcums. Yeah, we need 2 orichalcums. It's nice to get a 3rd one if we can, but we
あれ
need
一発
to.
抜ける。
Yeah.
yep. So Orichalcums have a random chance of dropping in pretty much any breakable in Infernal Altars. We're gonna be breaking a lot of pots and like boxes and stuff to give us the best chance at getting them. Luckily we got the save point up there, so if we reach the end of the stage and we don't have them, we can always go back there and farm for them at the end.
Oh dear.
そん
Okay.
な
The
ね
reason, yeah, the reason
難
there's
しい
one.
抜け方しないでしょ。多分このアイテムの取り方は
The
正
reason we
規。
need them is
Sorry, huh?
because we want to craft Hot-Blooded Bell, which is an insanely powerful item for the
Watch
end
it.
game, where we do double damage to enemies.
ショートカットすごくない
At the same token, we also take double damage, so
Yeah.
it's very risky. I think maybe I saw a second one there. I don't know though.
I don't think so.
No.
正規なんだ誰か。
Yeah, the hot-blooded bell basically turns you into a glass cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, you can grab this wall on like a really good cycle and avoid not having to wait out those ice things.
Yeah, I don't go for that really.
Yeah, it's tricky.
we go. There's the hot blood.
There it is.
Oof. Level 1.
And
Gotta
this
make
is-
sure to put it on
Yep, I will do
later.
that for the boss.
I've made that mistake before.
Yeah. This is the last time we'll be seeing Rico in this run.
Goodbye, Rico.
Goodbye, Rico.
This room is complicated. There's a lot going on here.
解放便利だな。
Intentionally dipping ourselves in poison. This allows us to skip a lot of the waiting on platforms. Towards the end, we're
あ、
gonna
毒受けた。
use Kanan to break a floor, and then
毒をご了承。
intentionally jump into the black gas. This causes solitude, and then we have a potion to remove that. Normally perfume, the best item name in the game.
Yep, so poison in Infernal Altar, it's actually not poison, it's toxic. And the difference between poison and toxic is that toxic will never wear off. It will keep hitting you until you die. But there's one really clever trick we can use. Because we can only have one status effect out at a time, we can take toxic damage in that room, but then right before we leave, we touch the things that give us solitude. So the solitude overwrites the toxic, we're no longer getting damaged, and then like Leah said, we can just use the Dormy perfume to undo the solitude, and we're totally fine.
We do have to be extremely careful here though, because we only have one of those potions.
Yep, so we do have to be very careful. Like falling into the poison pool down there, that's gonna toxic us again, or getting hit by those enemies in the room before would also do it. So you have to be very careful.
And yeah,
And
This is
of course
also-
we get 5 warp rooms on the last ones.
Yeah.
Of course. Classic Yohane.
and these are definitely the hardest warp rooms in the game. But thankfully we're
And yeah, so one thing about those warp rooms, there's only like one warp room, or I think 2, where Mari is useful, but we didn't get to see her.
yeah. And I don't think you need to
Put on
use it
Hot
right
Blooded
now.
Bell. Right?
Yeah,
No, it's the funny part of the game.
yeah.
Okay, so normally, casually, this boss is just so difficult. It's a nightmare. But we have Hot Blooded Bell, we have Offense Talismans, and we have Dia. So you're gonna see just how fast this is. If you've played this game before, you're gonna be blown away.
And he's done.
Yeah.
There he goes.
Turns an
That
absolute
takes too long.
nightmare. It is the easiest boss in the game. I think I can comfortably say that. Like,
Yeah, it's
if you have
As long as- As long as
What are
nothing
you
goes
doing?
wrong.
and then we're getting
I
into
mean, at
the
this point, you're in go mode.
Yeah.
Everything's kinda easy.
yeah. So
You
all that's
kill it
left.
before it can do any difficult attacks.
Yeah. All that's left really is a boss rush that we have. We're gonna do quite a bit of shopping here. I'm probably gonna farm for some cash. When you marry, you get additional items. You get the Shine Stew and the Fallen Angel's Tears. Normally, the potions we've been collecting heal you by half. Those heal you 100%.
These 2 pots right outside this save point room always give a ton of money, so that's what Retro is doing right now. It's just some
Yeah.
money farming, just to be extra safe for this last bit of the game.
Yeah. Let's do one more and then have a look. Yeah, that's enough.
all set to go now. So yeah, as Retro said, we're gonna have a boss rush here. You're gonna see all the bosses that we've fought throughout the game done really quickly, mostly using a combination of Daya and Hanamaru. It kind of depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have increased health, but we have like 100 times more attack power.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter
Yeah.
that they have increased health.
As you can see.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like all the game's like mechanics kind of coming together. Like we have hot-blooded bells, so our damage is being doubled. We have an offense talisman, so that's buffing us. We have the strongest move in the game. Like it's just kind of like trivial, really.
Alright, we're gonna try
That
and get
being
one
said,
cycle
though-
here. Nice.
Yeah, pretty good one.
Yep. That being said, though, because we're like spamming abilities and we have hot-blooded bell on, we end up taking a lot of damage, like, to ourselves when we use abilities, so we do have to be careful.
Yep, and this is the 4th time we're seeing this guy.
Yeah, true.
But I think seeing him is a bit of is stretching it a bit.
You know, statistically, he makes up like 20% of the bosses in the game.
Yeah.
That's really funny. So I don't know if we're gonna see it, but what you can do is take an intentional death on this fight to activate the music score. And a long time ago we mentioned that the music score, it doesn't, when it's active, it doesn't drain your DP at all. Looks like we're gonna just try and save it for the ending boss, but that is a strat you can do. And if you go fast enough, the music score will last for the rest of the refights, basically, so
Yeah.
it's pretty good. This one's really fast. Yeah. Literally just a laptop into a Buster Sword, that's all you need.
Yeah. Oh, it's not dead, okay.
Hey, it stuck around for a while. What the heck? Should be dying here really quickly.
Okay.
Yeah, even just that one hit that Retro took did like over half his health.
Yeah.
That's why you have to be careful with hot-blooded bell on.
Yeah, like this part of the game definitely still isn't free.
Yeah, and then even though we just fought Cthulhu, we do have to refight him as well, so
Yes.
we'll fight him one more time here. It's kind of nice that you can just back yourself right into the corner and duck, and that will always avoid his swipe attack there. The swipe attack is very dangerous because it does Solitude to you, and we didn't explain what Solitude does, but it doesn't let you use abilities.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to spam Daya at him if he hits us.
Yeah, I definitely took a big risk by not equipping the bell earrings there, which prevent Solitude.
Yep.
So now the boss rush is done, we've got one final boss, the Coelacanth. It's got 2 phases, and we're not going to see much of either of them.
Yep.
Yeah, so the way this boss works, we can only attack it when its mouth is open, so we have to time our attacks
Yeah.
pretty well and just make the most of like each cycle, if you can call it that.
But thankfully he opens it for quite a long time. That's wrong. And here
Enough
we're finally
time, yeah.
Yeah. Finally we're gonna pop our musical score.
Mm-hmm.
This
So
is
if you
the
thought
only
we weren't-
reason you don't want to die before this part.
Yeah, so Retro's been hanging on to this item literally the entire game for this moment.
Yeah, and time's on
You thought,
last hit. Or after.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
this-
time.
Time.
fine. Yeah. So yeah, if you thought we weren't buffed enough before, well now we have Hot-Blooded Bell, Offense Talisman, and Music Score.
Yes, which to remind you, makes it so you don't lose darkness and you always do a critical hit. But yep, that was a decent run.
Yeah, GG, that was a good run.
Yep. Sub hour. You
I think-
always love to see that.
Power, yeah.
I actually think the only bad part was farming tide lights. That was it.
Yeah, and a couple of bad random
Yeah.
moves here and there. But
Mhm.
other than that, very good run. So yeah,
Nice work, Retroflex.
any
Good stuff, man. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say anything we wanted to say before we're done.
Yeah, if you guys want to shout out anything or promote yourselves, feel free.
I would say that I think this game is just such a great game to play. It's
Yeah,
it's a very new game, but we've already managed to get a solid route down. Every run is different in this game.
Yeah.
There's so much that can happen with all of the luck, with the farming and the randomized rooms. Every run's different, and everyone plays the game differently. There's so much room to express yourself in this game. So
Yeah.
I think if you were interested watching this, then I'd say definitely try and pick this game up. You
Yeah,
won't regret it.
yeah, definitely an amazing game to pick up, and one you can just pick it up and get started really.
Yeah, if anyone here is interested in running this, I think you can find the Discord on the SRC page. So if you go to
Yes.
speedrun.com and search up this game, you should find it in like the resources tab or something. And everyone in there is gonna help you out with learning. We love answering questions and stuff, so don't be afraid.
Yeah, and I think yeah, that's just about it. Thank you
All right.
for watching, everyone, and I hope the rest of the event goes well.
Absolutely. And thank you guys all so much for being a part of the event. It was a great showcase, great work on the commentary and on the run itself. Thanks again. So we're going to go ahead and get Double ready for Hello Kitty Roller Rescue. So we'll go ahead and head on over. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.